We will be recording. Alyssa Brissett is our social work librarian. Um, and I'm Melanee, the head of education and social work library services. And Erin, are you in the School of Ed?
I am. I'm in the
Okay.
doctoral program.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right. So keep in mind that we are recording. So if you want to, if you do turn on your camera, it will capture it. So I'm going to minimize my camera. So I won't be able to see y'all. Um, so today we're gonna get to know Eric, and Eric is one of the largest or the largest database in education. So it's really great for education research. After this session, you'll be able to describe the contents and features of Eric, access peer-reviewed articles and other materials in the field of education, and then use the Eric thesaurus to identify search terms and useful terminology. So I'm going to go through a few slides and then actually go into Eric and do a few searches and kind of show you how, all the different features of Eric. So Eric stands for Education Resources Information Center. It's, again, the largest education database. So a lot of folks do use it to gather peer-reviewed articles. That's what it's used a lot for, but it does include research reports, conference papers, dissertations, and books. It is supported by the US Department of Education's Institute of Education Sciences. So it is funded through the Department of Education. So who uses Eric? A lot of the folks here at USC use Eric to again, find the literature that they need. So education researchers, a lot of students, teachers, librarians, and also the general public. So later on, I'll talk about that there is a free version of Eric that you can access, that anyone can access. And also, since your access does change after graduation, this to the library resources, this can be a source for you after you graduate as well, or after you leave USC, if you don't have any other access to an academic library. But I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So this just shows you the breadth of what's in Eric and how different folks use it. And teachers can use it to find things to help them with their practice, to inform how they want to maybe change their curriculum and things like that. All right, so when and why should I use Eric? So I get this question a lot, I'm sure Alyssa does too, is that why should we use certain databases and when should we use it? So of course, when you are looking for research on education and the education process and systems, this is a great addition to multidisciplinary databases like Google Scholar, if you're using that, the USC Library Search, and JSTOR. So you will be searching a smaller subset of publications in Eric versus all the databases listed, but it will be focused on, again, education research, education journals, education publications. So it's going to be more maybe refined to what you need. So these are the subjects covered. I'm not going to read through all of it, but just wanted to show you again the kind of the breadth of Eric. So this database started in 1966, so that's usually the coverage until now. It gets updated really pretty regularly. It did start in 1966, but you will find publications older than 1966, just because they have been doing a lot of work to add older publications, or they may have had like a backlog of things around in 1966 or later that's been dated before the database started. So really great for also historical research, kind of looking at what was being discussed in the 60s or in the 70s around education, an aspect of education. versus now. So it is really covering a whole range of things within this database. So I do want to emphasize that, it is education. Drink your coffee every time I say education. So this is just an example of if I'm searching for music within ERIC. So if I search for music within Google Scholar or the USC Library Search, I will get publications from various subject areas, maybe even from business or pop culture articles, things like that. Within ERIC, it is going to focus on music education, music teachers, learning about music. So I just wanted to show you an example of the ERIC results list. And you'll notice that, New York City Board of Education, the journal, the Philosophy of Music Education Review, teaching music. So again, very focused on education. All right, so we are getting to know ERIC, so I wanted to include the selection policy just so you know what you're searching, and also you'll know in the future, oh, okay, I learned that this was the selection policy of ERIC. Perhaps I'll go in there and I'll find what I need. So again, I'm not going to read through the entire selection policy, but just want to point out that beyond empirical articles or journal articles, they do accept things like critiques of theories, logic models, things like that. The materials are the journal articles, papers, briefs, reports, and books. So you can find books in here. They do not index or include textbooks. So this is not a good place to find kind of the textbook being used in Texas, but there will be articles about textbooks being used in Texas or other states or in California. They don't include lesson plans or blogs or anything that's HTML or anything like a website. So keep that in mind. And also, it is primarily in English. The materials in ERIC are in English. There are international journals here. So let's say there's, I found one recently from Turkey, but the majority or 80% of the articles within that journal is in English. So keep that in mind if you are doing more of an international topic and international subjects. So that if you would like to read the full selection policy, it is online. So where can I find ERIC? As I mentioned, there is an open and free version of ERIC, eric.ed.gov. It's open to the public. And there are full text reports and papers and briefs there. But there are limited links to the full text journal articles because you will still need an updated subscription to get most of the peer-reviewed articles. So what we use here at USC is actually paid. It's a paid kind of version of ERIC, and it is open to all USC students, faculty, and staff. We use the Proquest or EBSCO host version. I find these a little bit easier to use than the other version. I think it's the OCLC version, which I'll show you in a minute. So the main differences are the interfaces are a little different, but it has the same features in all three of these. But in the library versions, you will get the link to the full text for majority of the peer-reviewed articles. So that's a very important part. So after you do graduate from USC or leave USC, your library access changes. So you may be able to get full text articles through a lot of the open access journals that are available, but also through a public library, or if you are in another university, of course, they may have subscriptions, but ERIC is the one on the left is open and free to everyone in the general public. All right, so You can find the library version of ERIC through the homepage of the library. And the URL is at the top of the screen, and it's under Find. And this is how you can find all the databases that we have here at USC Libraries. Select Find, and another kind of menu will open up. Select Databases. And we do have about 1,800 databases here at UST. So keep that in mind. It is a huge, we have a huge collection. And you could search by the name. If you already know the name of the database, you could type in ERIC. You can even search by subject areas. So you could search by the bigger umbrella education, and you'll find a lot of the education databases listed here. So these are just like, if you know it's a new database, or let's say your librarian mentioned that we're trying out a new database, it's a trial period, you can limit it by trial databases. And then you can even see a list of like A to Z databases here. But that's how you would find ERIC under search databases, select search. And then we have these choices here. So we have ERIC here from EBSCO and Proquest. So we don't really use OCLC a lot. I just find that the interface is a little bit older and a little bit more, it's just, I like the interfaces and the functionality of both EBSCO and Proquest. And today we're going to be focusing on the Proquest version. So it's also, if you're familiar with the Education Research Guide, the URL is up here under Finding Research Materials, which is the second link on the left. It's kind of blocked here, but there is a list of suggested databases and recommended databases. So ERIC is the first one, and then there's that list or link to the A to Z list of databases. So that's how you would find ERIC within the library. All right, so this is what we're going to focus on today, the Proquest version of ERIC. And again, you are pulling the same material from the free version, but we'll have the links to the full text for the journal articles. All right, so I'll pause right here before we start talking about how to effectively use ERIC. Do we have any questions?
No questions so far.
All right, okay. So let me actually go out, and here is ERIC here. So it does time out if you're not using it for a bit. So I'm going to do a really quick search here on, like I said, music, and maybe I'll focus on high school. And before I do that, actually, let me do a little tour. You can limit by peer reviewed right away. And if you scroll down, it just gives you information about the database. You can even view all the title list of the publications within ERIC. And then there's some suggestions of other databases, and then some search tips down here. We have access to the Ask a Librarian link here and up here as well. So there's different options below the fold, so keep that in mind. And a lot of folks, start off with a basic search, which is great, a basic keyword search. It gets you a lot of results, or sometimes a few results, but you could always start off with the keywords. And I always say the first search always improves the subsequent searches, just because you start identifying other search terms to use. So I'm gonna search for items on music, but it has to pertain to high school. So I'm using the Boolean operator and to connect my concepts together. So we have about 4,000 results on the left, you can see there. And these are all the different ways you can narrow or filter out your results. So we have about 2,500 journal articles. And like I said, all these different types of publications. Dissertations and theses come up here as well. And you may find some USC ones here. And again, you can narrow by publication date. And like I mentioned, the database started in 1966, but you will get some older publications here too. Just to give you some idea of like other ways to narrow things down, there's a publication date here. Sorry, publication title, the document type as well, by subject. If you really want to get narrow, maybe music teachers, and education level, language, and target audience, which we'll talk more about in a few. So if you select, let's say teachers, it'll show the 433 that are, the target audience would be teachers. So just to show you kind of the differences between, let's say, Google Scholar or other databases, if I go into, let's say, the record here, you'll notice that within ERIC, there are these subject terms. So these are called descriptors, and ERIC is what librarians call an index database, which means, it just means that there's actually someone who looks at all the items that are included within ERIC or added to ERIC, and they actually look at what the item is about, and they assign it index terms or subject terms or descriptors. So these are all describing what this article is all about. So I'll talk more about descriptors later and why to use them, but basically, these are useful for, number one, identifying other terms to use for your topic. And also, these are live links as well. So if you select, let's say, music education, it'll actually bring up all the articles or all the items that have been tagged music education. And we can do that here. I'll show you. So this is a good way to also do a comprehensive search of a particular subject area or topic area. And even within here, it's searching only the subject term, music education. You could start adding different other search terms here to kind of more refine your search and to have it be more in line with what you're looking for. So let me just go back one to show you the other parts of ERIC here. Of course, here's the title of the article up here. Here's the other citation information, author and journal. We have the abstract, and again, the subject areas, but also just other information below the fold. And also, there are some related items on the right. So it may give you more items that are useful for your research. And then it does give you the cited by information. So 29 other items or research work cited this particular article. Within a lot of the databases, you've probably seen this, you could download the PDF, you could cite, or it'll give you information on how to cite things in the style that you need or you want. So APA 7th edition. And keep in mind, my colleague Kelsey says this, you have to be smarter than the computer, because sometimes there are, you have to know APA still or whatever citation style that you use, because you have to proof it, because there might be some missing information or the formatting may be off. And then you can even export it to a citation manager down here and print. And there are other options to save the citation as well. Google Drive, and then again, citation export. All right, so I'm gonna go into, so we started off with a basic search. And again, this is where you can start building your search if you're starting off, but I want to spend more time on the advanced search page. I'm going to clear the form because we're going to look at that later on. So the advanced search is where you can really build out a really refined search or a more sophisticated search. So this is just where you can type in your terms, and we'll come back to that. But I want to show you that you can limit by peer reviewed here. ERIC documents, if you limit by that, you'll get all the items that are not journal articles. So right off the bat, if you just want to look at maybe reports or other publications that are not journals, you can select that. ERIC journals just mean you're searching journal articles. And then you can limit by publication date. There are other ways to really refine your search right off the bat by document type here. By language, again, majority or all, I think majority of the items here are in English. But again, you can access some journals that have, that publish in English as well, the international journals that have English language in their journals. So, and then education level, you can limit that to, if you're just focusing on a particular grade, not just elementary education. Like I'm really focused on, grade 4, their music development in grade 4, you could select that. And then again, by target audience. So I always say I would kind of leave this off right now, unless like you're really looking for a very specific publication. But here is where you can start building out your search. So I was working with a researcher last week, and they are looking at community college students and how they pick their majors and how that's affecting their career development, and also maybe even their sense of belonging within the campus. So before I get started with this, are there any questions so far?
Hi, yes, Melanee, there is a question. And I'm answering it, but one of the is does ERIC have an option for you to save your searches or citations rather than having to kind of save them in Google Drive or something like that?
Sure,
So I
yes.
like the account, like the Proquest, that account, but
Yes.
also I guess it's connected to RefWorks as well and all of that. But yeah,
yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no, sorry, I interrupted. Yeah, perfect. So again, this is a great place to start building out your search. So again, I was working with a researcher looking at major selection for community college students and how that may affect their career development or even kind of their sense of belonging. So we're kind of still figuring out like the aspects of the research, but this is what we were looking for. So we typed in major selection. And that's another thing is we have to kind of think of like, how would we describe this topic? So we came up with major selection, college major. And I'm putting that in quotation marks just because I want that specific phrase. And I'm using or because I'm asking the database, give me anything that has college major or major selection in the document or in the subject areas or anything like that. And I'm not putting quotation marks around major selection just because I do want to capture the word like major and selection. So we're opening it up just a little bit. And then I'm putting community college in here. I'll put that in quotations. And then we just started off with that. And I do want to point out that there is a drop-down menu. The default search for ERIC, and also I think for most databases, it searches these terms in all the fields available, meaning the title of the article, even the title of the publication, the journal publication, the abstract, the full text, the references. So it searches everything. So there might be times where you're like, this isn't about what I need. They may have found, the database may have found that particular phrase in like the references part. So there's an article that has the term that you use. So you can narrow these down. This drop-down menu will give you more options. So if you just want to look at for these terms in the abstract, or even the publication title, and even more options down here, you can do that. You can even search anywhere except the full text. So maybe if you are looking for a specific thing in the abstract or in the title, you can do that. But the default, again, is anywhere. So I'm just gonna search using my terminology here. And this is my results list. So there's about 176 results. You're not going to get 100,000 results or 200,000 results like other databases like Google Scholar, because we are a smaller database. There's I think a little over 1 million items in here, but again, it's more focused and focused on education publications. So it should be more refined and more focused on what you're looking for. So you'll notice that I used the search boxes to build my search, but it translated to this here. So this is really cool thing to know, and you can start using different strategies to do this. So this is when we use parentheses, it's called nesting. And you would use this when you're using synonyms or related terms, or looking for when you're using several terms at the same time using like a Boolean operator. So in this case, major selection or college major and community college. So basically, this search is saying, I'm going to look for major selection and community college, and then college major and community college. So it's a really kind of efficient way to start searching. So again, these are just all the results that you're going to get here. And you can even say, I think this was coming up in our search when I was working with the researcher, is that a few STEM articles were coming up, and we're like, let's focus on maybe not STEM. And then you could do that here too. If you're getting things that you don't want to get, you could even put not STEM or not a certain subject area, and it'll actually eliminate anything that has STEM in it. So it just eliminated about 6 items. So not that many. So keep that in mind. This is one way to start building your search. But again, I'm going to go back to advanced search. We did started off with advanced search in these search boxes. And you can even add a row here. You could do the not STEM here and start building your search. But keep in mind, if you are using synonyms or related terms in one, you have to keep it in one box. Just because I've noticed that it works better if you start building it out here. And you don't have to do capital, you could do it lowercase. I like to do it just to kind of differentiate from the different search terms. Education major. So yeah, you could start building it out here too. But I mentioned that we wanted to look at, or I mentioned those subject terms. So that's the kind of to differentiate between other databases are Eric has subject terms. So taxonomists actually look at each item and assign it these subject terms here, right? So again, these are live, you could select them, anything about teaching methods, it'll come up if you click on that, and you can find the thesaurus. So these descriptors are actually in the thesaurus. So these are really useful for, again, finding the terms that you need, and kind of identifying what terms are being used now for research that's being done a lot in the field. So if you select, let me actually share my entire screen. Okay, so if you select thesaurus right up here, it'll give you another window that comes up. Alyssa, can you see the other window that came up?
Yeah, it's showing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. I've done this before where I'm talking for like a minute and then they're like, I don't see that other window. I don't know what she's talking about. But so this window will come up. It's the Eric Thesaurus. And let's say you're working on a topic around personalized education, which is where you are adapting instruction to individual needs within a group. So you're thinking it's personalized education. So I would look up personalized education here, search, find, and if it is here within the thesaurus, I see personalized instruction. So I select that link and it'll actually give me some suggested terms. So it actually says use individualized instruction instead of personalized instruction. So if you click on this little, it looks like a Post-it, it has some notes. So that indicates that it has some notes. It may give you a definition of what individualized instruction is. So yeah, adapting instruction to individual needs within the group. And it also is note, do not confuse with independent study or individual instruction. And then they even give you kind of a history of the term, individualized curriculum, 1966 to 1980. So it does give you suggestions on what to use. And it gives you related terms. So these aren't necessarily synonyms. They are related terms that you could use that are, topic areas within kind of the same area, the same kind of field that you're looking at. And then the broader term would be teaching methods. So you're going to go very narrow and very broad. I'm going to close this, and you can actually start adding this into, you can start building a search here. So let's say I'm going to add individualized instruction, and then I'll put, let's see, I'm going to open up teaching methods, and this has a lot more notes. And let's say I'll select large group instruction, and then you can actually build out your search here. So you add to search, and then this will give us, you'll notice here that like it's searching for the subject term large group instruction or the subject term individualized instruction. So this part is already telling the database just search within the subject terms. Just search within the subject terms and search for large group instruction. All right, so you don't have to change anything in here because it's already saying search within the subject terms. All right, so I bet this is going to give us a pretty big result. So you can search by subject terms. There are times when your term is not in the thesaurus. So again, a keyword search is effective as well, but this is just one way to kind of help you refine your search. And I do want to kind of go back just to talk a little bit about the descriptors, just because that's what kind of makes it, Eric, a little bit unique, is that you can do kind of a comprehensive search within Eric because of these descriptors. So again, Eric is an index database. It has subject headings assigned to each record. So a librarian, taxonomist, someone looks at each item before it's added. So this is similar to PsycInfo and other index databases. You'll notice that there's subject terms in PsycInfo. It's they use controlled vocabulary. So this is a library term, library jargon. It ensures that we use the same terms across the database. It represents topics. So the descriptors represents topics frequently researched in education. So if there is a new topic area or new research just happening now, it may not be added until later on, because these taxonomists do look at the research being done, and then that's how they start adding descriptors. So I think they even added, I think they're going to add, or they're going to add a COVID-19 descriptor as well. So it describes the subjects in the item, and then again, the list of subject headings can be found in the thesaurus. The thesaurus is always within ERIC in the advanced search feature, and within Proquest. So keep that in mind. And this is how ERIC develops the thesaurus. Certainly not going to read the whole thing, but like I said, someone looks at the research before it's added to ERIC, so they do keep track of the topic areas that are coming up. You can also suggest subject terms to be added. You can suggest subject terms to be changed, because how we speak about different topics, different folks do change over time. So keep in mind that if you see something and it's offensive, or you just like to make a suggestion, they are open to suggestions. So this is the process that they go through, and it does get updated pretty frequently. And then just to kind of hit it home with the descriptors and subject headings. So why use these? So again, identify useful keywords and related terms. It expands your search results by locating all items relevant to your topic. So like I said, individualized education or personalized education. One cool thing is you're not gonna, if you use the subject terms, you're not gonna need to know all the different words or phrases that describe this particular area. If you just search by subject terms under individualized education, it's going to capture personalized education, articles that say differentiated, that use differentiated education. And then it also narrows your results when your search terms have multiple meanings. So an example of this is the word articulation. So you could use the word articulation to describe something in speech, right? How you form kind of clear and distinct sounds when you're talking. But there is also another meaning within education. Articulation can also mean kind of coordinating of courses or program content between schools or between grades to facilitate kind of continuous progress of the student. So this can mean different things. And within ERIC, there's a subject heading for articulation speech, and then a subject heading for articulation education or education system, I believe. So this is kind of a good way to narrow your results when you have like a very common or a common word. It also eliminates irrelevant results too. So you could actually want to find items on English teachers. There's a term, a subject term, English teachers, because you can eliminate, by using that, you eliminate articles or items about, you know, maybe teachers in England or British teachers. So you're focusing on teachers that teach English. So that's, again, another way to use a descriptor and eliminate irrelevant results. All right, so just looking at my notes. So that is all for the slides specifically. Just want to see if you have any questions, or even if which features you'll use immediately within ERIC.
There are no questions in the chat.
All right, no problem.
Wait, there is no more question. So how would you go about finding a specific article in ERIC?
Right, good question. So, and with the article, does that have, you already have the citation and the title? Let me
Yeah, I
open
think
this
that's,
chat.
yeah, that's what.
Okay, so if you are looking for a specific article, you can type in the title up here in the search box or even in the basic search box. Usually if you do type in the title of the article, it will come up even if you don't change where it's searching. So it defaults to anywhere, or you can change where it's searching to document title. So that is the article title's name. So publication title, I believe it's document title, but publication title pertains to like a journal or kind of like maybe even like a book title. So you would I think use document title. But again, if you do type in the title of the article, usually or the publication or the item you're looking for, it will come up using anywhere. And then you can, I would say just keep it open too. I was going to say limit it by document type, but I suggest like kind of keeping it open because the more specific you get, it may not capture, what you need. I hope, does that answer your question, Erin?
Yeah, I've been looking for one specific article and I just haven't found it yet. So I was wondering.
What's the article?
It's by Rudine Sims Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it referenced in another article, Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors. And she wrote it in 1990, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so you can even search by author as well. So author is here. And then another thing you could do is like, yeah, author would be a good way to do it. Or even just doing kind of like some of the title in here as well. So if you do, after this, if you do have some questions about like finding or you're not locating it, let me know, email me, and let me show you our search, our contact info. So you will get the slides in the recording and the contact info is on the screen. This is a shared email address between Alyssa Brissett, who is our co-facilitator and social work librarian, and then Kelsey Vukic, who is our colleague. She is a social and behavioral sciences librarian, and I take part as well. Sorry. So Erin, yeah, please, if you reach out to us, if you can't find the item, and before, I'm going to be mindful before I end the recording and everything, or the session, are there any other questions? All right.